everyone, thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Doobert webinar. So today we're going to be looking at our macros within our CCM module. So these are really great for your short messages. They are pretty similar to templates, but they're a little bit shorter and they're sent through our email communications. So I'm really excited to share this one with you guys today because it is a great time saver and it's really good for personalizing your emails. So let's get into it. So before I start, I just want to mention, if you're new to our Doobert webinars, typically how they work is we'll go through just a quick PowerPoint, going through some of the high level information about the macros, and then we're going to jump into the system and we'll start demoing everything we talked about today in terms of macro creation and how we can use them. So let's check out our macro overview. So like I said, our macros are only used in our email communications. So unlike templates, those can be used in emails or text. So with the macros, they are email specific. So these are also stackable with any other templates or macros. So you can even stack two macros in a message or stack like a template and a macro, maybe two macros under it, whatever you prefer. They are a really good time saver if you really like to take advantage of the templates and macros and being able to stack them and kind of use them as you need. So we'll kind of look at a couple different ways that we can use them as well. And then they are accessible through the CCM side panel. So just as we would access our templates, if you've seen some of our previous webinars, it is a very similar process where we'll go down to our macros tab, and that's where we can edit, search, view them, all things like that. So looking at how we can use our macros, so like I said, we access them through our side panel right here. So we click on our companion case management and then we head over to our macros tab right here. And then once we are ready to use some of our pre-existing macros, we're going to head into the communication tab of our case within CCM. And I want to make sure that you guys know that we do have to have a valid email address in your CCM contact information in order for the email to go through. So just to keep that in mind. And then once we're in our communication tab and we're ready to send our email, we can click on this little insert macro right here and we'll get a drop down of all of our existing macros listed by the name of them. So then we can choose them and stack them along with our templates right there. So super, super easy. And looking at some of our options for how we can use our macros. So I kind of want to just throw a couple ideas at you to see if any of these might work for you or kind of be what you're looking for in terms of automating some of your email processes. So these are really great to include any important resource links. So for example, a link to your website, you want to throw it in the bottom of your email if there's anything that whoever you'd be sending this email to should check out on your website, or if it's just kind of like a common thing that you want to throw in every email, you can also do that. And another thing that I really like about the macros is that you can put your Calendly link in there. So I personally use Calendly all the time, so I really like to put a Calendly link as a macro because it is a good, like, stackable link to throw in any email. So definitely keep that in mind if you do a lot of scheduling. So for example, any of our training and behavior programs, spay and neuter, pet food pantry, anything that you would need to schedule an appointment or a pickup, a drop off, anything like that, you can have your Calendly links in a macro and you can easily just pop that into an email. So that's a really, really great way to really efficiently use your emailing functionality. And then another great option for the macros is to throw your contact information in there. For example, you want to put your phone number, your title, anything like that. For example, like your email signature. So many options in terms of what you want to put there. You can even put like your LinkedIn information or really anything that you want to share in terms of maybe your contact information, other ways that they can get in touch with you, or really just network. So that's another great option. And then you can also put any contacts to any of your partner organizations. So for example, if your rescue or shelter works with a vet clinic that you want to provide that link to, you can also put that there as well or provide their contact information. So it's another great way to easily share information, contacts, things like that through an email. So totally up to you in terms of how you want to use them, but I thought I'd just throw a couple quick ideas at you. So now we're going to jump into the system and talk about everything we just talked about here. And then once we're done with that, we'll jump back into our slides and we'll go through just a brief Q&A of some of our frequently asked questions we're asked on demos, to our help email at Doobert.com, things like that. So we will check that out in just a second. So I'm going to head over to our organization dashboard. So I'm logged in to our beta environment, which is kind of like our sandbox. I mention this in every webinar, but if anything looks a little off or there's any bugs, I'll definitely be sure to let you guys know. But it's kind of for our testing and demo purposes. So what I'm first going to do is head over to our companion case management module on our sidebar right here. So once I click on that, we are going to see we have all of our options here. So I'm going to head down and click on our macros. So this is our macro page. It looks pretty similar to our templates page if you're familiar with those. So we can search by our macro names right here. We have our last updated date, so we can see that. If you have like a lot in here that you want to kind of sort and filter through some of them really quickly, you can do that. And then down here, we have all of our existing macros, have our team's email signatures. So one of my teammates, Kimberly, she has her email signature in here. Here is mine. That's my email signature, my contact info. We also have an urgent case one as well as a wellness check. So a lot of different options in terms of what you can do with your macros. But to create one, we're going to click on this plus sign right here, and we're going to name this. So we're just going to do Lena's webinar macro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a scheduling macro. So for example, this is really beneficial if you're going to do for example, your training and behavior program. You want to be able to send this out to schedule some of your appointments with any of your applicants. So we're going to customize our little message right here. So, hey there, thanks for applying. You guys will know my spelling. It's always so bad, to our training and behavior program. We'd like to schedule your first training session. Please check out the link below for more information on scheduling. So we can do that, and then we'll just pop our link in right here. So that's a really great way we can just quickly throw that into a email. But if we want to be able to stack this with a template, we can also do that. So we can realistically get rid of all of this and type this out manually if we prefer to have a little bit of a custom spin on things. So for example, I can take this out and we'll leave it as this. So then we can create our personal greeting, and then we can throw this in at the end on top of our email signature. So I think this looks good, and if I want to bold anything, I can do that here as well. Underline, strike through, and then we have a couple different options here. We can also hyperlink. So I'm going to hyperlink my Calendly for us. And then we can put a text. So that looks good. So we're going to click save on that. So look at that. We have our hyperlink there. That looks great. So we can now go ahead and click save because it looks good to me. So that looks great. And then now we can see my webinar macro is showing up right here. And then if we want to check that out, we can just click on it, make any edits as we need to. But we're going to click save on that for now. And then we're also going to check out my email signature one because we're going to stack them just to show you guys some different ways to use them. So we're going to go down here to my email signature. So as we can see, I have this right here. And you guys can just copy this from your email and pop it in to this macro template and it will be good to go. So I'm going to click save on that. Okay, so now we're back to our macro page and our macros are ready to use. So we're going to head over to our cases tab right here and we're going to put them to work. So I'm going to search for one of my cases using the assign to feature. Sorry, you guys can hear my dog whining. So down here we have our cases that are assigned to me. So we're going to go ahead and make a little bit of change to this one. It says it's for crisis boarding. We're going to change this to our training and behavior one because we are using a macro on scheduling. So that looks good. We changed our type and now we're going to change our status to active. Looks good. So now we're going to head over to our communication tab. And as we can see here, we have a valid email address. So that is always good. So now I'm going to head over to communication. Okay, so now once we're in our communication tab and we are under the email tab right here, we are going to go ahead and put our subject line in because this is an email. So we're just going to say, following up on your training and behavior request. So looks good. Now we're going to customize a little message that we're going to send in our email. So we're going to say, hey, Sydney, thanks for applying to So now we have our message customized. So we're going to go ahead and pop in our macro. So we're going to click on the webinar macro that we just created. So here we have our thanks for applying to Cause for Pause. Thanks for applying to our training and behavior program. We'd like to schedule your first training session. So that just popped in our macro that we just created. So that looks great. So now I'm just going to tab down and I'm going to enter my email signature as well, just to customize it and let the applicant know which team member is replying to them. So we're going to put in that. And now we have our email signature at the bottom. This looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and send it. And then I'm going to show you guys what it looks like in my inbox. So all that looks good. And then we can also add files here if we would like to do that as well. But I think this looks great to me. So we're going to go ahead and click send. All right, and then down here in our conversation log, your team will be able to see the little message and who it was sent by, as well as the time. So that's really great for team collaboration, things like that. So now I'm going to jump into my email and show you guys what it looked like on the receiving end. All right, so here we have, this is the email that the person receiving the message would get. So the email will come from a customized email that Doobert builds for your organization. So this is just Cause for Pause at CCM Beta. Like I said, we're in our beta environment, but this will be a little bit different and customized to your organization. We set that up for you. And then it has our entire message right here. We can click on this link and it'll take them to my Calendly for any scheduling purposes. But this looks great, and it also looks like a real email. So I just wanted to show you guys how it kind of looks on the receiving end if you were curious. So that is all I have for our macro webinar. So now we're going to jump back into our slides and go through a quick little Q&A. Okay, so our first question is, how many macros can I have on the free plan? So great question. We are actually changing this a little bit. It used to be limited, but in the coming weeks, we are going to change our macros to where you can have as many as you would like. So that's really exciting if you really want to use the macros to their full potential. So definitely check that out and see how many different uses you can come up with for them. So I highly recommend really customizing them. And then our next question is, can the macros be included in a workflow? So great question. Unfortunately, right now, only the templates can be included in our workflows. But like I said, they work really similarly. So anything that you could put in a macro, you can also put in a template. So feel free to try that out. But our macros are typically for our shorter messages, whereas our templates are our longer messages. Other than that, that is all the questions I have for today. So thank you guys so much for joining us for today's webinar. And if you have any questions that we did not mention, feel free to email us at help@Doobert.com, and either myself or any of my team members will be able to help you out. But thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you guys soon.